Hey everybody, Zach again, NewsTorah.com, coming in, making another video for you today. And so, I saw this last week that Mecca was invaded by locusts. Did you see this? It was in the news, on front page of Drudge. Most of the major news outlets reported on it. But if you look at some of these, I was amazed. So this article here, Biblical Plague, ? Experts baffled as mysterious swarm of locusts invade Mecca's holy sites. And it says an unprecedented swarm of deadly locusts invaded one of the world's holiest sites this week as Mecca faced an infestation of biblical proportions. And it goes on to talk about how they were just basically overrun by locusts and basically grasshoppers. And, was it biblical? Interesting thing here, this was my favorite picture I saw of it, was this one. A swarm of locusts. Look at all the locusts on that guy. I mean, he's sitting there praying and doing his religious duties while the locusts just crawl over him and they cover the ground. kind of interesting. And then this one here too was what caught my eye because I knew this already going in. I found an article that actually referred to it here, and amazingly, I thought I had to share this with you guys. It says, it is simply irony that in the weekly Torah portion, Jews read about the final 5 plagues, boils, fiery hail, locust, darkness, and death of firstborn males that God sent to afflict Pharaoh and the Egyptians. A swarm of locusts attacked Islam's holiest mosque. I don't know, coincidence? That's true, because if you go over to Torah portion, the First Fruits of Zion website, they have their Torah portion list here, you can see. And it was Bo. Bo was all last week and, ending on January 12th. So these locusts attacked in the middle of that portion. They attacked, I think it was first reported on the 7th or 8th of that. So they attacked on the Torah portion of Bo. Amazing, because that's exactly how it starts. Again, if you go over to, right now it's Beshalach, and it's Exodus 13. We're in the new Torah portion now because it's a day after Shabbat. Yesterday was Shabbat. And so if you go over to the verse, let's go ahead and check it out. Exodus 10, where the Torah portion starts, it says, else if you refuse to let my people go tomorrow, behold, tomorrow I will bring the locust into thy coast, and they shall cover the whole face of the earth, it says. And it says it'll be like anything that's ever been witnessed or what will be witnessed ever again. So obviously this week's plague wasn't the worst that's ever been seen because that was seen during the Exodus. The Bible clearly says so. So is it a coincidence? I don't know. I mean, I don't, I'm one of those guys who will tell you that I don't really believe in coincidences. Coincidences can happen, but is it a coincidence that Islam's holiest site, was attacked by locusts during the same Torah portion where the locusts attacked Egypt? I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what some of the other people are talking about. So this was kind of interesting. Other people have noticed this, but in the Islam world, the world of Islam, they do a lot of infighting, and they'll eat themselves if you give them enough time. But over at The Economist, this article is out about 6 months ago. It says radical reforms in Saudi Arabia are changing the Gulf and the Arab world. And it talks about how they're letting women go to concerts, and they're having different music festivals now, and there's, fair rides, amusement parks, and women can drive, things like that. And it's coming under scrutiny. There's a lot of people who are not happy about how the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is kind of liberalizing some of its behavior that they allow their citizens and women to do. So what they're saying by this plague in Mecca, a lot of people are saying that this is a result of the loosening of the rules, so to speak, of Islam by the crown prince. Because the crown prince wants to do a number of things. He wants to bring more business into Saudi Arabia. He understands that the oil is not going to last forever. In fact, the United States has way more oil. We have strategically and wisely been saving our oil, even though we knew we had tons of it, because we wanted to use Saudi Arabia's first, and the Middle East first. And so they know there's a limited amount of oil. So they're like, we got to bring in industry. we need to bring in technology because eventually this gravy train is going to run out. And so the crown prince and some of the people know in these Islamic states that you're never going to bring industry, you're never going to bring technology in if we continue to force our citizens to live in the 4th century. So they're trying to lessen some of the rules for that. Anyway, so some of the more stricter regions of Islam are saying this plague, this locust plague that happened this last week, is God's wrath coming down on Mecca because the crown prince and the house of Saud controls Mecca. That's part of their duties, is to control Mecca and to facilitate Mecca. And so that the rest of the Islamic world is saying this is a result of their loosening their rules of Islam in Saudi Arabia. So I don't know if, that's what they're saying. Because people, how you ask a Muslim, say, hey, how do you explain, the locusts that are coming to your holiest mosque? And they say they have never seen this before. It's unprecedented. They have never had this kind of issue before. And they're all trying to explain it. The experts are all out there trying. Look at all the articles online. They're without words trying to figure out why this is happening. And it's been it's been kind of a mess out there. So, that's what it's saying. And I want to point out something here real quick. If you scroll down in the article, scroll down in that article, you have this map. You can see where Mecca is, right there in the southern, western, southern part of Saudi Arabia. And then up in the corner, closer to Israel, you see this little red box that's around there with a pointer going to it that's labeled NEOM project proposed. Well, see, this is what the Crown Prince wants to do. He wants to build a gigantic city there in the middle of that wilderness. If you go there, look at it on Google Earth, it is a wilderness. However, that exact location right there is where many people believe, including me, and I did a video on this earlier last year, or later in 2018. That is where I believe, and many others believe, is the original Mount Sinai. And you guys go Google. There's a book that was written about it. It's called The Gold of Exodus. I did a video on that. Many people, including Ron Wyatt, believe that was the original Mount Sinai. Lots of people have come back after taking pictures of this location and how the Saudi government has enclosed the mountain with fences and guard duty stations and things like that. They believe this is the real Mount Sinai. And we know for a fact that a lot of gold was recovered from this area, being the gold that was ground up into dust and the trinkets that were thrown out because of all of the idol worship of the golden calf. So they have found gold at this location. So I believe Saudi Arabia knows this is also the location of the original Mount Sinai. Could it be? I have seen it online suggested. Could it be that this is the father plaguing Mecca with locusts because of the crown prince's plan to build something on and starting to build, further facilities on top of the real or in the area of the real Mount Sinai? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I've seen it suggested online. It makes pretty good sense. We know for a fact that he is proposing billions and hundreds of billions of dollars to be spent on building that area around the original Mount Sinai, what some believe is the original Mount Sinai, into a gigantic city. So could this be the father, sending lots of locusts into Mecca because of those plans? I don't know. I've seen it suggested online. I'm giving it to you. I don't know. I'm just giving it to you and let you discuss amongst yourselves. Put comments in below. I'd love to hear them. But so lots of proposed ideas of why this unprecedented attack of locusts on Mecca has occurred, especially during the Torah portion of the locust of Egypt. It's just, I don't know. Interesting times we live in, folks. All right. Discuss, leave comments. All right. Believe it at that. Go home, read your Bible. Thanks.